Welcome back to another episode of Rake Position. We got four lifelong friends that love talking baseball, and we're living out our dreams from the comfort of our chairs. I'm Aaron, the host.
I'm Joe, the groundskeeper.
Get up, baby! Get up! Get up!
I'm the artist formerly known as Jay Lee the Rover.
And I'm Corey the Stat Man. And let's do that hockey. Oh, baseball. Never mind.
Yeah, moving on.
Look at the hat, not the shirt.
All righty. As our diehard fans are aware by now, we like to kick off each episode with our top 5 rankings. We're calling them rankings instead of rankings because we're cool like that.
Finally.
Yeah, low-hanging fruit there. Not much has changed. Same 5 teams in a different order, but here we go. We actually had a 3-way tie for third place, and I'll tell you how I split them up in just a bit. So coming in at number 5, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates. They got 7 votes. They received a third and 2/4. I still did not vote for them.
Yeah, whoa.
The Rangers coming in 4th with 2/3 and a 5th. Somebody did not vote for them. Baltimore coming in 3rd with a 2nd and a 3rd. The Braves holding tight in 2nd with 3 seconds and a 4th. And once again, for the back-to-back weeks, the Rays sweep the 1 seed in our rankings. Just a few stats here before you guys give a little input. The Rays, like I said, have been first every week so far of our rankings, back-to-back unanimous picks. The Braves have been on it 3 straight weeks now. Went from 16 votes down to 11, back up to 14 this week. Orioles, back-to-back weeks, and I gave them the 3 spot because they had the highest single vote. They got a second-place vote. The other 2 teams did not receive a second. So I put Baltimore 3rd, even though the Baltimore Orioles, Texas Rangers, and Pittsburgh Pirates all had the same total point value. Rangers, back-to-back weeks now as well. Of course, we all know Jared voted for them an extra week than we didn't, so he was ahead of the curve. The Pirates are back-to-back once again, went from 4th to 5th, but are part of that 3-way tie. Other teams receiving votes, I once again voted for the Brewers and D-backs. I have voted for them almost every week. The Cubs made their first appearance in our rankings. I assume that was Corey, and I believe Joseph put the Dodgers on there again in the 5th seed. So not much to talk about. I put the Diamondbacks in there again. Today, they are not in first place. They have spent, counting today, they've spent 2 days outside of first place since taking it over first week of the season. So I keep giving them some love. And I went with the Brewers instead of the Cubs or Pirates in the Central. Same conversation as last week. So I don't know if you guys got much else to add there. Not much has changed, but what are you guys seeing there in the top 5?
Why you're not giving Pittsburgh a vote?
Yeah.
I think they're about to come crashing down. Joe's awesome, persuasive presentation last week. Sounds good, looks good, but ain't going to last well. It convinced me to keep the Brewers in there over the Pirates, even though the Pirates still have a better record.
Yeah, I think the series that's starting tonight is going to be show us if they're the real deal or not, because they're starting a series with the Rays. So I don't know.
That'll be a good matchup.
Yeah, I mean it's the 2 best records in each league. So it's they actually lost today. So they lost 4-1. Still, I mean, only gave up 4 to the Rays and scored 1, which is you can score on the Rays. That's still pretty good. But we'll see how the rest of that series goes. I think that'll be telling. And if it doesn't go well for them, I could see them dropping off entirely. But as far as you were correct that I did put the Cubs in there, and they got swept by the Marlins, but again they were competitive games. So I think they're the best team in the Central. They've just been unlucky, and I will gladly talk about that some more.
Yeah, it seems like each week somebody in the Central sneaks into our rankings, because the American League Central is pretty poor. And the National League West, we thought would be at least two powerhouse teams. Hasn't turned out that way. Dodgers crept back into first after last night's game, but it hasn't been an impressive schedule. They beat up on the Central in their last 10 games to finally pass the Diamondbacks. So we expected Dodgers and Padres to be in top 5 every week, and they've barely been in there. So there's room for those NL Central teams to stake claim there, I think.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say the AL Central sport, because I when I was listening to some previous episodes trying to make shorts, I made one, and we all unanimously picked the Cardinals to win the Central, and Aaron, after the discussion, said that the reason he picked the Cardinals was because the rest of the division was poo.
I did say it would be close between them and the Brewers. I was just not confident that the Brewers would be all in, and the Cardinals left spring training acting like they were all in.
Yeah.
And since then have sent Walker back to AAA, kept Liberatore down even though the rotation's poo, and have not called up Juan Yepes. So the Cardinals are not acting like they're all in. They faked me out.
Yeah. Liberatore's been on my list of things to talk about for weeks, and I've never sneaked him in, but
it makes no sense.
Yeah. Anyway.
I know a team I got in the AL, kind of like how you're describing the Pirates. I left off Texas because I think I won't say they'll like crash to earth, but I think their pitching staff is probably playing better than they should with Eovaldi, Martin Perez. He's pitching like an ace, and he's probably a 2 or 3. DeGrom, if he stays healthy, he's always a monster, but that's probably the biggest. Yeah, that's the biggest if in baseball, right?
Yeah.
And then I stuck. Real quick, Corey, I stuck the Dodgers back on there. They've been playing pretty well recently. Their lineups been pretty strong, and if they could find another starter other than Fourth, the god of thunder, more like the god of a light wind, they could have a pretty nasty team, but they're in first now. We'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah, and I think the West, it just seems, the NL West, it seems like it's had a tough schedule to start the season, and they've been just kind of beating up on each other as well. Because
we haven't really talked about this, but a lot of the divisions haven't played a lot of division foes yet. Like the Rangers, I'm looking at their roster or their schedule right now. They've already played Kansas City 6 times, the Reds, and the Athletics. I mean, so they've got a pretty easy schedule so far. So they're getting a lot of love lately, but see how they do against quality opponents, and they just lost to Arizona today. So the Rangers might be on the tipping point too. But yeah, so anything else to add there, guys, before we move on?
I think you talking about the schedule, I know it's changed because every team's playing each other, but it just seems like a weird schedule because, like, again, this coming weekend, the Marlins are at the Cubs, and like there's a lot of teams that play one weekend at one place, and then the next weekend they're playing against each other again, but at the other location. And I don't know, I'm sure there's a reason for it, but it's kind of strange because I don't know that they're going to play again, and so all their games are done by April or May. And so, I mean, they're not division opponents, so it might not be relevant, but it is just kind of strange, I guess. Just kind of an observation. But yeah,
the Braves are already done playing the Padres. Played 7 games against them in April, and didn't play the Mets or Phillies, I don't think, in April.
Yeah.
I guess that Mets series was at the end of April. It wasn't May yet, but yeah, it's been weird.
Yeah. So we are going to go into and talk about our award predictions that we made a month into the season, see how we're feeling about it. We're going to kick it off with Rookie of the Year. I'm going to start off going through.
Henry, row, women, dark,
the floater.
Heat up the ice.
I got hot ice.
Help here. Little.
If I had a chain link fence, they'd just be sitting here shaking it. Yeah. You got to say something so they could see you.
Help. Little here. Is that good?
Yeah.
Excuse me, ladies.
For the viewers, if you've never seen the movie, you don't have to now.
Yeah.
That's next week's pod. We're just going to act out the entire movie.
That's like an all-star break.
We're out of ideas, so we're just
We're about to end the baseball season. We're like, crap, what do we do?
Yeah. Anyway, gonna talk about and highlight some of the guys none of us picked that maybe should be in the conversation, and then each of us are gonna kind of go through and talk about the ones we did pick. If we doubled up, one of us can kind of take the lead, and the other one can add in as they see fit. I'll start in the National League because I think it's a little bit. I don't know, want to say it's a runaway, but I mean, if Corbin Carroll stays healthy, I think he's got it. But again, talking about some of the guys we didn't talk about, James Outman is a guy nobody was talking about, really, for the Dodgers. And the Dodgers were a team that was looking like they might need some outfield help. And then Jason Hayward was reborn. I don't know, they got some sort of hitting coach guru out there and for the Dodgers, but Outman's 7 homers, 4 stolen bases, hitting 283, slugging 596 for a 973 OPS. Good exit velocity, good barrels, strikes out quite a bit. Good defender, good runner. He doesn't he fields well, but he doesn't get to a lot of balls. His outfielder jump's not great.
Is he a corner guy or is he playing center? Is he able to play center? Do you know?
He is. I think he's. I mean, I think they're all kind of moving around a little bit, but he's playing center predominantly because they've got Peralta in left a lot of the time and Hayward in right, at least against righties. Which Peralta I think is having a pretty good year too. Which is, I mean, I think Peralta's a guy that you just has always been pretty consistent, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Kodai Senga was a guy none of us picked. Technically a rookie, 29 years old. Had a good start, kind of fallen off. I actually saw that he has a 15% walk rate, so Joe's favorite pitcher. And then I think as far as a guy that has a chance to give Corbin Carroll a run for his money, other than the one that the other one of us picked here, is Brett Beatty, who's off to a good start for the Mets. The only thing is Corbin Carroll is also very good defensively. Like, he is probably, as far as the analytics are concerned, one of the best outfielders that there is. Just to give you some numbers here, he's in the 100th percentile in outfielder jump. So if he can't get to a ball, nobody's going to get to it. He's also 100th percentile in sprint speed. So just like, he is covering ground. 81th percentile, 81st percentile in outs above average. Thanks. I'm good at math. But again, hitting for average, hitting for power, 4 homers, 10 stolen bases. He's been out of the lineup with a knee contusion. He didn't play today. So that's, I think, kind of the big hurdle. But basically, I think if Corbin Carroll stays healthy, he's got it in the NL. The other one that we talked about in the NL, and then we can switch over to the AL after Jared may give a little information. Here's Jordan Walker, who his chances took a hit, obviously, for one reason or the other. So I don't know if you want to add anything about Jordan Walker's chances, Jared.
So you're saying you don't get votes for being in AAA?
Last time I checked, they don't put a lot of weight on that, I don't think.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, no, it's just frustrating. I think we talked about it on the last pod. Like, they sent him down to find his swing from grounding out so much, but like, I mean, someone on the Cardinals tell me who's hitting better than he was?
None of the outfielders, at least. Yeah, none of the outfielders.
Yeah. So that's the frustrating part. And he's electric, and the fans are wanting to come see him play. And you're last in the division, so you got to have something that's going to bring a spark to the team. I think he was that. And I mean, sure, he's swinging and missing, but he's also a rookie. But he was still batting like 278 when he was up. So
yeah,
it's not like he was batting 178. That'd be a big difference. So I don't understand what the Cardinals are doing. I don't really know if anybody in the organization knows either. But
yeah,
if they want to give me or Skip a call, we could give them a little bit of insight, I think.
Yep. If I'm ever a GM, it's a dynasty the world has never seen, guaranteed.
I saw a fun tweet because the Cardinals announced Jason Tatum Day, bobblehead day, or something like that.
I saw that. Yeah.
And like all the replies in the tweets were like, "Oh, is he going to pitch or play the outfield for us? Like, why are we giving away Jason Tatum bobbleheads? If he like, is he going to help us win a game?" And because like I was thinking I might tweet that, and I was like, "Oh, obviously every other person who pays attention to baseball has that same thought." But no, yeah, I mean, I think depending on how long Walker stays down, he's got a pretty fair shot of challenging Carroll in the same. Like Beatty's off to a hot start. Outman. I don't know. It's hard to tell with these guys that come in and that weren't highly touted guys to see if they project or if they continue to do what they're doing. But we did only choose. I don't know if either of you guys want to add anything on Carroll.
Yeah, the only thing that that has surprised me is like Carroll and Walker were our top two choices. They're built differently. Walker was all about damage and power. Carroll was going to be about speed, running, and defense. But Carroll's slugging right now too.
Mm-hmm.
So if he can keep his slugging percentage up that high, I don't see how Walker catches him, especially with the head start he's got. So yeah, three of us are looking pretty smart with the Corbin Carroll pick.
And one of us is not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and it's I think especially with Rookie of the Years, it's about staying healthy,
and opportunity.
Yeah. Obviously, you can't if you're healthy in AAA, it doesn't help.
Mm-hmm.
There's no most valuable. It's MVP for most valuable player, not MVP for most valuable pride award. Like best bench player, like we won back in high school.
Yeah, there's a Saki Pride Award for that.
Yeah,
and there's a recipient right here.
There's two of them in this group. Yeah.
And that's the real MVP in my book.
So,
what about our AL guys?
Yeah, so the AL guys, and I think this is interesting because I don't think there's a real front runner out there right now. Like, I think Carroll has a pretty sizable lead again as long as he stays healthy. Some of the guys we didn't talk about or didn't pick, and a guy that I probably should have known but don't is Hunter Brown for the Astros. Starting pitcher had started 5 games, got a 2.37 ERA. Just has really good numbers. He pitched in 7 games last year, had a 1.78 ERA. So just again, like a guy that probably should have been on my radar. The other one, I actually saw an article for the preseason rookie power rankings, which obviously people can't make good picks or great picks in the preseason, but it had Gunnar Henderson as number 2, and Gunnar Henderson for the Orioles is a guy that I actually wouldn't be surprised if I see him get demoted sometime
he's
soon.
Struggling.
Hitting 189. He's in the first percentile of outs above average, and he's switching between third and shortstop. So maybe it's just he's not a shortstop, but like Mateo's there, so it's very confusing. Kind of, I think he's playing third mostly, but I have seen him in the lineup at shortstop some. 9th percentile in whiff percentage, 12th percentile in Ks. So I mean he is like this is like kind of like what Jared just said about how it doesn't make any sense to send the guy hitting almost 280 down, but it would make a lot of sense to send this guy hitting 190 down, and especially with his underlying numbers back up his average. It's not like he's 8th percentile in expected batting average. So his batting average is bad. It also should be bad. So that's again not a guy that I think should be winning it, but it's an interesting name that none of us picked that is underperforming. But Logan O'Hoppe was actually pretty good on the betting odds, and I think he would have been in the running, but he's out for 3 or 4 months now.
He's out.
The one guy that he was actually 7th as far as betting odds was Josh Young for the Rangers. He was having a really good start, and I think he should be a lot higher than that. I saw he was first in homers, RBIs, runs, hits, I think, for AL rookies.
He had been hurt and back issue the last couple of years, so his power, if I'm thinking correctly, his power was non-existent in the upper minors, and so people started backing off of him. But it seems like he's healthy and he's playing every day. Yeah,
so seems like a serviceable defender at third. Again, a guy rookies are going to strike out. It's just something that happens. But other than that, kind of the rest of his numbers seem like they are pretty good. So he's a guy that I think should be a little bit more in the conversation. I chose Grayson, who is Grayson Rodriguez for the Orioles, who's doing okay. He's, I don't think he's even the second best rookie pitcher, but he's definitely the second best rookie pitcher that we're going to talk about right now because Hunter Brown is leaps and bounds outperforming him right now. So he's got to make up some ground there. But being a month into the season, like he's not doing terrible. He's got a 4.07 ERA. He's got good strikeout numbers. Walks are up. He's getting hit pretty hard. But it's something that I think if he's figured it out his whole career. So I think maybe just as he adjusts, that could be something that happens, and with him figuring it out.
Question.
Yep.
Do you think that you get more votes for Rookie of the Year as a pitcher or a hitter, or do you think it just depends on how good you play, regardless?
I feel like people love offense. I mean, there are pitchers that win Rookie of the Year, but it just seems like they have to have outs, like be significantly better than like a hitter.
Do you feel you get more dates hitting dingers, or do you get more dates getting wins off the pitching mound?
Chicks dig the long ball.
I mean, if it was me, I would love to get more wins on the.
Maybe that's why I didn't get any dates, because I didn't hit.
That's another pod.
Three of us are married here, so somebody's. Excuse
me.
I said three of us are married, so one of us might not be getting dates.
Well, we know three of us aren't getting any dates.
That's fair.
That's another way to look at it. Well, yeah, I love Hunter Brown was actually, I almost took him, if I'm being fully honest here, gets back on track. I loved Hunter Brown. And he's from Detroit, Michigan, so I don't know if he did this on purpose, like he grew up watching Verlander pitch over there. But he looks just like Verlander on the mound. It's identical, ridiculous. Yeah. Just the exact same mechanics. He's filthy, and Houston always seems to do it right there, except for they always get hurt. So they really need him now. Garcia leaving his last start, but yeah.
And they cheat. You forgot about that.
Yeah. But yeah, Volpe is struggling coming out of the gate, but he's heating up. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. 330 OBP, and he's still 8 for 8 in steals. But Baseball Savant was not too overly enthused by his defensive ability. So it'll be interesting if he ends up sticking it short. So I know that Peraza kid was supposed to be a better defender. But yeah, it's all blue on his Baseball Savant page with average exit velo. The only thing he does well is he doesn't chase and he can walk. But his arm is one of the worst shortstop arms too. His max throw was lower than the MLB average. So, but he did start off really rough, a lot of pressure in New York, and he's gotten better as it's gone on. So we'll see.
You know who else was a below average defender at shortstop in New York?
Yeah, and he went to the Hall of Fame. So Volpe can win the Rookie of the Year, do the exact same thing. That's why I picked him. I picked him because he's a shortstop for the Yankees, not because he's going to have the best year.
Sorry, go ahead.
Is the saying, you field, you play, or you hit, you play? Nobody cares what you do in the field. Get hits and get RBIs.
Jared, he is getting to play because he can field. And so if he's not a good fielder, he's not a good hitter. So do you want to talk about Yoshida at all before we move on?
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for my turn.
You're up. Go for it, man.
Jared had something to say. Jared had something to say about Volpe.
No comment. No comment.
All right, Yoshida. Again, like I would like to preface before you say, he is the betting odds favorite for AL Rookie of the Year, which is surprising to me.
Because he's not a true rookie. That's why.
I guess, but it's.
Do you wait a second? Let me mark off all the points you guys are making. So, okay, do you guys want to keep going? So I don't have anything to
say. He actually can wear the jersey because they're all empty.
Yep, I didn't have that point. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But yeah, I think that may be one of the few things I've said that so far is turning out okay. Definitely a rough start to the season, but the second half of the season, which I know that's only like a month, but he's been killing it. He's got another homer tonight, 2 hits, 2 RBIs. Corey mentioned, rookies strike out and just the league strikes out nowadays, right? and rookies are usually that's an even higher percentage. But Yoshida, because he is 29 or 30 years old, he's had professional experience. He is a rookie, Cooney. Settle down.
Chipper
He's still
Jones.
walking. I don't know if he's walking more than he's striking out. Nobody really does that anymore. But his is he?
Yes.
His OBP is going to be high. He's currently projected. Let me see what his projection is. 22 homers, 92 RBIs, 65 walks. That's probably rookie of the year numbers if that continues. And Boston is winning, which I said at the beginning of the year, I thought they could maybe be a sleeper team that could get some wins. So yeah, he's looking like a pretty solid rookie of the year pick, but
I don't know.
a lot of season left.
I don't know if you looked at Yoshida's baseball savant page. His hitting sliders, some of the 0 to 100, very good. First percentile in outfielder jump and 19th percentile in outs above average. So he could use some work on the defensive end, but again, like you mentioned, it's not you field, you play. So he is top 3% in the league in K percentage. So he is not.
He's acting like a seasoned.
He's 29, so I hope he's seasoned a little bit.
All right, Jared, take us to the Cy Young discussion. What we got there?
I'm gonna be first and foremost with you guys. I ain't gonna dive into a bunch of stats like
thank goodness.
Our buddy Corey
you don't want to take a half hour on your segment?
I'm just gonna keep it short and simple with the stats that people care about: wins and how many runs they're giving up here.
That's right.
Just to get into this, the people we didn't pick, some standouts that were pros here, and we picked the correct picks, of course, but we'll add some people that we think that might be added to the list. But it's cool to see this guy, kind of a blast from the past. They almost thought that he was done, almost thought that he should probably hang it up. But Clayton Kershaw, 5-1, a 1.89 ERA, dominated the Cardinals last week. I know it's not saying a lot, but watching that game, he looked like Clayton Kershaw, who's won the Cy Young multiple times. Curveball looked like Clayton Kershaw curveball. So it's kind of cool to see him kind of go back in the past and find that. And then, of course, we can't move on without talking about Garrett Cole. The dude's 5-0, a 1.11 ERA. Probably the only good sign in New York right now is everybody else is on the injured list. Just dominant.
They call me Mr. Glass.
Especially in that park. So to do that in such a smaller ballpark is pretty cool to see.
A couple points real quick that I would like to make. Clayton Kershaw's he's never been bad. He's just been hurt. If he pitches, he's good. Garrett Cole has probably the most awkward interview of all time. Remember when that sticky stuff was going on? And I thought, obviously he was using it, as were probably 75% of other players. I thought we'd see a downhill turn from him, but like you said, he's still killing it. His numbers are the same.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't like him as a person, but man,
wow.
He can pitch.
Take him off the list.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe we could get Brandon.
Now we're gonna have to get Garrett Cooper.
That's fine. That would be fine too. Anybody.
Joe, quickly, what team does Garrett Cooper play for?
The Rockies.
Oh.
All right, let's get to who we pick.
Prove me wrong.
Sounds like a really good guess there. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and say that I still kind of like my pick with Shohei. He's still out there dominating. I had the stats pulled up. Give me a second. Corey's probably already got him in the back of his head. He's 4-0, 1.85 ERA. So I still like that. We'll get into the MVP talk later about me not being able to pick him, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But we'll go down the list here. Aaron has Christian Javier. Aaron, how do we feel about that?
My American League picks aren't as strong as my National League picks. I'll just leave it at that. He's doing okay. 3.48 ERA, 35 Ks, only 7 walks, which he's always been good at. But his baseball savant, his StatCast stuff's not the greatest. Lots of blue, except for an elite curveball. But it's his third most used pitch. So it may just be a simple tweak in his arsenal could really see him go to the next level. But he's also faced the White Sox, Tigers, Pirates, Phillies, pre-Harper. So it's not the greatest competition, and to have a 3.48 ERA in that. But yeah, it's not horrible, but need him to step up some.
Gotcha. All right, next on the list we got the Beebs with Joe and Corey both picking Beebs. So, guys, go ahead.
I can kick us off. It's gonna sound a lot like what Aaron just said, where he's got good numbers, 3.11 ERA. He's got 2-1. But if you look at his baseball savant, it doesn't look pretty. A lot of blue, 5th percentile in average exit velocity, which is bad for a pitcher. And if a hitter was, but that's on the bad end. So hitters are in the 95th percentile in exit velocity off of him. But so I'm a little worried. But again, he's proven that he can do it. So I'm not going to overreact too much in a month. Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at baseball savant as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many numbers on here. I'm having trouble not going into a seizure. But does this say anything about his fastball velocity? Is it through the years or this year?
This year he is in the 6th percentile in the league. He's averaging 91 miles per hour on his fastball, which is
okay. And I don't know if that's down from previous years, but looking at his stats, his Ks per 9 is way down. Everything else is pretty much average, but that's worrisome. Also, Cleveland's not playing as well. Somebody famously said they would take the division by 15 games. And
all of us missed on that. So
yeah. Cleveland's not playing the best, so he's not like racking up wins off of slightly above average stats. He's only 2-1.
He's always been elite control,
yeah,
and minimal damage.
So he won the Cy Young in 2020. His average fastball velocity then was 92.5. So it's down about 1.5 miles. I would say not as significant.
I mean, his K per 9 is way down.
So K percentage in 2020 was 31%. K percentage now is 17. So
oh wow.
Yeah. He's his stuff doesn't seem like it's there. I don't know. Again, a month into the season, maybe he's just
warming up. Very dead arm too, so maybe he's got dead arm.
Yeah. So
he can stay healthy and get 200 innings, stay solid all year. You don't see a lot of guys get to 200 innings anymore. He could still have a chance.
Yep. All right. Aaron, take it away with your NL pick.
Yeah, I'm looking pretty good here. I was a little worried after opening day when Fried only went 3 1/3 with the hamstring issue. You never know how those last, but he'd even go on rehab. He just came back, and since then he's thrown, I don't know, like 16 scoreless or something like that. He's got 18 Ks, only 4 walks with a .45 ERA. Already has 1.3 WAR in 20 innings pitched. So he's looked good. He's always been elite at soft contact. His fastballs doesn't spin like other people's, but it tunnels great on that ridiculous curveball he has. Keeps everybody off balance. And he's always, last 4 years, been top 2% in batter exit velo. And this year he's doing it again. He's actually setting a career best mark so far. So people just don't square him up for whatever reason. And he's got four good pitches. So I'm liking it. Keep him healthy.
All right. Honorable mention, since it's a Brave, is I almost wrote down Spencer Strider. I think when I was talking to Cooney before we got on here, I was pulling up his stats, and he was like, well, Max Fried's way better. But, I mean, 4-0, 2.57 ERA, but I think leading the league in strikeouts, too. I mean, the dude's just electric. Obviously, a very beautiful mustache.
That's right.
And seems like on the mound, he's just having fun out there, and he's a lot of fun to watch. So, honorable mention to him as well.
He's heavy on 2 pitches, fastball, slider. He's starting to throw a changeup, and he had a couple awesome ones in the last inning last night. But you can see yesterday when his slider's off and he doesn't have that second pitch, he's hittable because everybody can catch a fastball. And so that'll be the big thing for Strider. Yeah, that'll be the big thing for Strider is make sure that changeup's working if the slider's not.
All right. Joe, me and you had Mad Max here. I'll let you go ahead and take the charge on this one.
Yeah, hasn't pitched in a couple weeks. Had that interesting run in with the umpires. He's scheduled to make a start here like pretty quick. If you guys can't see what the other guys are doing, they got oddly are getting stuff stuck into their hands. I think that's a word.
Well, I think there's a saying out there that goes, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right?
That is true.
I also always have my rosin bag.
We want all the kids to listen in and follow our advice.
Fake it till you make it. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yep.
I mean, he'll come back, and I don't know if he gets enough starts, he could maybe still challenge for the Cy Young. Yeah. I think the Mets will win. He'll get some wins, and hopefully he doesn't have any more hiccups.
I think I don't know. I'm already gonna say it ain't gonna happen. I think the way with Fried, Strider, Kershaw are pitching right now in front of him, like he may not be a top 5 Cy Young vote right now. I think the suspension definitely didn't help the case because I think a lot of voters won't want to vote for that this year, regardless. But we'll see. I mean, it is a long season. And to round it out, Corey, you had another Met here.
Yeah. I'm feeling really good. I think he's 100% lock it in, still going to win it. Justin Verlander hasn't pitched yet, but he's on his way back.
Yeah, okay, cool.
But you know, he's all joking aside, he's a guy that could have 20 starts and completely dominate them and still be in the discussion. But
was it DeGrom a couple years ago that pitched like 120 innings and won it?
Yeah, Verlander's on rehab right now. So, I mean, if he's back next week, he'll get 25 starts if he pitches the rest of the year. He could with, what he had last year, sub-2 ERA.
Yeah.
He does that again.
I'm not ruling it out. I'm not feeling great. I think everybody's picks are better. And it was hilarious because I made the pick and then like the next day it's like, I'll be starting the season on the IL. It's like, oh, great job, Corey. Anyway, that's enough about that.
All right. Well, that'll about do it for the Cy Young. I'm going to skip it over to Joe. And we're going to talk about some MVP
what you
stuff.
Did there, Jay Lee. Nice. MVP. Corey, what's that stand for?
Most valuable primate.
I like that. We could petition the MLB to change.
That was a movie. It was like a Airbud knockoff. You didn't know that? Come on, guys.
I didn't. Everybody hit that IMDb page.
Who looked at Airbud and thought this is worth a knockoff?
Somebody who saw how much money Airbud made.
Well, most valuable player talk. Let's jump back on the important things here. We talk about golden retrievers and primates later. Starting with what have we been starting with? The NL or the AL? The AL, right?
It's in the agenda, Joe.
Let me pull this agenda up real quick. Let me look.
The AL.
So yeah, we all had 4 different picks for the AL, so this will be fun. We'll roll through these. I'll go ahead and start with mine. I picked the obvious. I picked the guy who should win it every single year he's in the league. I picked the guy that Corey was like, "Hey, let's have nobody pick this guy because it's just not fun."
Cheat code.
Corey is not my mom. Corey is not going to tell me what to do. So I went with Ohtani.
Hot take.
He's killing it on the mound for sure. Let me pull up his hitting stats. And he's pretty much killing it in the batter's box. So dual threat. I'll definitely stick with that.
He's pretty good at baseball.
Unless he gets hurt, he's going to put up monster season and then sign a monster contract. So Jumping over to, I guess the AL guy. We're showing our shirts here.
Oh, he's going to sign with the Braves. That's what I was saying.
I thought he was going to go play hockey because if he can hit and he
Might
can
as
pitch, he
well.
could probably play hockey too.
Baseball's too easy for him.
He's a huge Crash Bandicoot fan.
Yeah, he's going to reboot the
start
franchise.
a Twitch account and play Warcraft. So one AL guy that he's been around for a while too, and he's always been solid, but he's having super solid, maybe even a super duper solid season so far. Matt Chapman up in Toronto.
I saw that. Yeah.
You know, I'm just looking at his batting stats because that's the only thing that mostly matters. But I know in the past he's always been a beast over at third as well. Corey, what do you have on his defensive stats? All right, thanks.
He has always been pretty
back
well
to you,
known for
Joe.
his glove. Yeah, right sideways.
Yeah,
where's your umbrella? Had one.
He's never. I mean, he hasn't been hurt as far as I've known, so I'm sure his defense is still fine. He's 30 years old. So that was one guy that's probably at the top of the list as far as AL MVPs. And the rest of our AL MVP picks have all been solid as well. So I'll throw it over to Aaron, who has his MVP pick. You remember who you picked? Aaron, the host?
I picked Trout. You know, he's always in the conversation. Should probably have more MVPs than he's gotten already. Sitting at 1.1 WAR, 984 OPS. 7 homers already. He has no steals. I couldn't believe that. I don't know.
His stealing days are done, I think.
But he still has elite speed, according to Baseball Savant. Everything's red except for his K and whiff rate. He always strikes out for being an elite guy. He still has quite a bit of strikeouts. But his defense, for whatever reason, outs above average, and his jump are the only thing that's bad, but still has an elite arm and elite speed. So, I mean, he's just he had 40 homers last year in like half a season. So he's still Mike Trout. He's got Shohei there to bat with him for a couple months.
And he's still on the Angels.
So far, so good. Yeah, so as long as Trout stays healthy, he should be a top 3 guy every year. So I'm sitting pretty right now.
Next up, we have Jay Lee, the Rover. Does he remember who he picked for MVP?
His dad was a super beast.
Yeah,
and this is Vlad Guerrero Jr. But going back to Shohei real quick.
Mm-hmm.
You know when you Google someone's name and there's things that drop in underneath of it?
Mm-hmm. What's
foreshadowing? I typed in Shohei and 3 down, or was it 2 down? Shohei Cardinals.
It does. Number 7 is Cubs.
That would be a dream.
Didn't click on it, but anyway.
I'm clicking on
it.
It's all about Newt Bar trying to bring him over.
Yeah, he ain't leaving St. Louis after the series.
Good defect Anaheim, St. Louis.
Here's the thing about Vlad: he's not playing bad, but MVP, we'll see. Batting .304, 5 homers, 15 RBIs, and 2 stolen bases. Yeah, so look out. I'm not, like I said, we'll see. A lot of season left to play. I still think he could turn it around, and I think he's going to be a 30 homer guy and all that fun stuff. So we'll see what happens. But I'm not upset with the pick, so I'm actually okay with this one. But again, if I got to pick Shohei, I would pick Shohei.
Everybody would have picked Shohei if they got to pick Shohei. I'm just not Joe's mom. Apparently, I'm your mom and Aaron's mom.
No, I didn't want to pick you.
Cooney wouldn't have picked him. He'd have to go off the beaten path a little bit. Vlad had such a monster year 2 years ago.
I know, it's crazy. I'm looking at it now.
I mean, maybe he repeats that, but that's an
the slugging's a big thing. He's never been, for as good a hitter as he is, like you see his slugging jumped up to 601. Every other year it's been under 500.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just elite bat to ball skills, elite eye. Always going to have the high average. But yeah.
Some people call that an eagle eye.
It's
Mhm.
funny you mentioned that because a lot of everything you just said applies to my guy.
Well, jump on
Who
over
is?
to the NL with MVPs.
Okay,
AKA
that's
Corey.
I don't need to. No, go ahead.
No. I want you to talk about this guy because I was looking at him.
No, yeah.
I
So
know I ridiculed you a little bit when you picked him. So give us the rundown on your MVP pick.
Adley Rutschman. Kind of everything you guys just mentioned about Vlad applies to Adley, and he plays a premium position.
Mhm.
He
Not
is
that important.
okay. That's whatever. 92nd in K percentage as a hitter, 92nd percentile, 96th percentile in walk percentage. So he is really, really good eye, which I always thought catchers should. And then doing it, I don't. I struck out looking so many times because I was just like, that ball didn't look like it was a strike, but yeah, sure was. But it's nice to see that he's actually 91st percentile in a expected weighted on base. So he's in
Expected
92nd.
weighted on base.
Yeah, we talked about this a few episodes ago, Jay. You must have.
Let me know when you're done. I'm gonna make a super loud noise so our listeners can come back
Okay.
away.
92nd percentile expected batting average. So he's hitting for average. He's walking. He's not striking out. He's catching. He's playing on a fun team. He faces an uphill battle in the American League for MVP. I don't hate the pick though. I think he's having a great sophomore season. Um,
Are there votes for playing on a fun team?
if you voted, I think there would be.
That's fair.
Do you know what position MVP voting he got last year?
I don't.
27th.
But
Yeah, 12th
I
MVP
yeah.
voting last year.
So I quickly looked up again because I have a lot of opinions about this particular topic. Joe Mauer and Buster Posey both won an MVP. Yeah, I know. Sorry, guys.
Signing off. Later,
They
guys.
they
Sound the
had
Dixie horn.
they had absolutely outrageous offensive seasons though. And I don't think Adley's going to get close to that, but um, I think he's a really good player. I think he'll be in the MVP voting at the top end. But again, he's got some pretty fierce competition. So don't hate
If
it.
if the Orioles are in the playoff race at the end of the season when voting ramps up, he's
Mhm.
got to get love because he's going to
Oh
have
yeah.
to be a big part of that. So
Yep.
it's a nice pick.
I like
Looking
it.
better than it did a month ago.
I really I again talked about Garrett Cole. He seems like I've watched some videos of him kind of doing behind the scenes stuff. Really like him.
Peaches.
I haven't seen it yet.
Jay Lee has turned into Bowser.
Yeah.
Lego Bowser.
I'm
at
done.
that.
I'm done, Jay Lee.
This
Talking
is
about
the guy
Buster
that comes
Posey.
in whenever Corey starts
When
talking
Jared
about
starts,
stats.
or Corey starts talking.
Talking about Joe Mauer and Buster Posey. Well, guess what? Adley
It-
Rutschman's always going to be in that conversation for me. I think he's
yeah,
that type of
and
guy.
we've been saying it's not you field you play, it's you hit you play. Well, the one exception there is probably catcher.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen plenty of catchers have long careers that bat,
There are no exceptions.
Mendoza. Not on our team that eventually we'll build as we're all four GMs of our respective clubs.
The Jeff Mathis effect.
But Adley hitting as a catcher, that's going to get you MVP votes just because you're in such a small field there.
Yep.
All right, on to the good league, the National League, the team that we hope the World Series champion comes out of. Oh man. All right. So we had a shared vote. Actually, let me just get mine out of the way. So
yeah, just get your summer with.
At this moment, the rage monster hasn't popped out too much yet. So my guy, let me pull up some stats here real quick. My guy's OPS is 275 lower than his career norm. His his slugging is 210 below. His OBP is 70 below. His average is about 40 points below. He is on pace for. I just
on pace to get cut. It sounds like.
I think he's on pace for like 11 homers, 78 RBIs. So my pick of Nolan Arenado, along with the Cardinals' joke of a season. I got to find a witch in the woods or something that's casting the spell over all this um, craziness that's going on. So that is my pick for MVP. I'd say there'd have to be a monster mash of a turnaround for him to get back in that race. But you know what they say, anything's possible.
Oh wait, sorry, wrong thing.
He's not hitting, so I don't know if it applies.
On to some other picks that we had here. I think Jay Lee and Cooney shared a pick that's looking decent. Go ahead. Whoever wants to start. Jay Lee, why don't you start? Then we'll come back over to me.
Yeah, we'll just skip right over. No, this one's still looking pretty good. I'll let Cooney dive into the stats because I'm not a stat person, as you guys know. But I mean, Acuna's fun. Acuna's fun to watch. Still getting. We talked about it the other day. Still doesn't know how to get it out of the way of a ball coming at him, but maybe someday we'll figure it out. So hopefully he's okay on that front. But I mean, I haven't watched any Braves games.
Getting ready for hockey season, right, Corey?
Is he batting? Is he batting leadoff? Still batting leadoff. So I mean, that's I don't know. He's either going to get on base and steal it, or he's going to hit a 450-foot home run. So I think that's the exciting piece about him is he's got all around game, and then of course an electric arm, aka he's throwing out a bunch of Cardinals people. So I don't know. So I'll kick it to Cooney with more of the dive into the stats, but that's just for me. He's just dominating right now. So
yeah, look good. I'll just run down through some stats real quick. 1.9 WAR with a 1.034 OPS. So that'll play any day because you hit, you play. 5 homers, 15 RBIs. And as I was writing this, he was 13 for 15 in steals, and he stole second. So then I had to change it to 14 out of 16 steals, leading the league. 16 walks, only 18 Ks. In the first inning, leading off the game, this is before today. So I think he's 16 for 27 and leading off the game. With only 2 Ks. He's got a 1.505 OPS leading off the game. So that's pretty nice. Everything's red except for his outfield jump. For whatever reason, he's not good at outfield jumps. That's why he plays right field more often than center. Doesn't have enough throws yet, as Jared's talking about his arm strength. Doesn't have enough throws yet for Baseball Savant to rank him, but his max throw's been 98 miles per hour, which would be number 1 in right field arm strength. His average is 96 miles per hour on throws. So, that's pretty good. Yeah, so, we're looking pretty good there.
Mm-hmm.
Good pick so far, you guys. Leading the league in steals. You could say he's faster than a chicken being chased by Ronald McDonald. Corey, you
could say that. You could.
Could say that.
I had Trey Turner, who, contrary to Acuna's StatCast page being all red, Trey Turner's StatCast page is all blue. Again, I don't want to overreact a month into the season, though. I think he's a guy that is going to hit. The Phillies, it'll be interesting to see the effect Bryce Harper has on him coming back, especially this quickly, in that locker room. Because it just seems like it's going to pump everybody up. And again, coming from the analytics guy, I'm here talking about kind of superstitious, maybe not superstitious, but more of like a feel kind of game thing. Stitious. But yeah, just a little stitious. But it's, I think Turner's good enough that he will still probably end up being in the running. We've got a lot of the season left. He has not had a good start. Hitting 260, only 4 steals, which I think is something that you especially expected out of him with these rule changes for him to be a little bit higher than that. Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
I actually saw an interview with him recently. I think it was on The Athletic, where they interviewed some base stealers about the new rules. And he said he didn't really worry about it too much, that he wasn't going to steal more. So,
really?
that backfired. Because I thought he would steal more too, but he said in general, he's not too concerned about it.
Yeah, so I mean, he's super fast. He's 99th percentile in sprint speed. So it just seems like something he should be doing. I also didn't realize maybe he's not that great of a shortstop. Just
I said that.
okay.
Hey, real quick.
Uh-huh.
Nobody says you steal, you play. Nobody says you field, you play. His hitting numbers, they might be in the blue, but his overall numbers are still good.
Well, he's got a 669 OPS, which is pretty below average. But
He's already got paid. Who cares?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go out on a limb and say Bryce Harper gets more MVP votes than him.
I think
That's a short limb, and we're all there with you.
reasonable. Yeah, it's a very
It's a
strong
crowded.
limb.
It's a crowded limb.
Yeah. So it's I don't hate it, but I don't feel great about it. So my MVP picks, I feel better about Adley than I do about Trey, but honestly I think Trey's got a better chance because Acuna could blow out a knee or something. Like that's not that I wish that upon him. Sorry, Ronald. I guess you're not coming on the pod either.
Yeah.
Hard.
That'd make him
dwindling.
Yeah, it's
making people madder than a pig caught under a barn gate. All right, here. Well, that wraps up our MVP talk. We had some more. How can I have some more? I haven't had any. On to our World Series picks, which
They're looking great.
Are looking great. Yeah. So let's have Cooney lead that discussion, and we'll keep on keeping on here.
All righty. So yeah, just to get through this a little bit quicker, not a whole lot of discussion. We just want to remind our viewers, and as we've talked about a lot of these teams recently, we didn't do so good in the American League, but as we've established, we're not an American League pod. So I had the Braves over the Mariners. Right now, the Mariners, let's pull up standings real quick so you guys can just think about where these teams are after a month into the season.
Do you have any more animal-based idioms, Joe, to fill time?
Yeah.
Yes. A hit up the middle right now would be like a nice ham sandwich and a cold frosty.
There you go. So the Mariners are 12-16 in fourth place, just ahead of the Oakland Athletics. So they're not looking very good. The Braves have been a strong team so far. Joe had Yanks over Padres. The Yanks are in last place.
What?
And the Padres are in third place. So that's not looking so good. Jared had Cardinals over Mariners. That's a last place team versus a fourth place team.
I want to remind the viewers about a certain year, 2011.
Oh gosh, yeah.
When the Braves were
12
I still got the
years
picture on my phone. That was 2011?
I think so. That's when they won the World Series, right? Yeah.
Are you talking about when they overtook the Braves? Like last month of the season? Nah, dude, that wasn't that long ago. Anyway, keep going.
2012 was the first wild card. He's talking about the World Series. Yeah, that's different. You guys talking two different things. Corey has the Guardians over Padres, and the Guardians are in second place at a brisk 14-16. And the Padres. So what year is it? I can't tell the year.
It doesn't say the year.
Okay, that's helpful.
Didn't happen. So none of us are looking too good, except for I've got.
So I'm saying there's a chance.
Out of the 8 teams we guessed, of course, some of us picked the same. One of them is currently in the playoffs. So that's looking real good, guys. So let's just move on to the next segment, shall we?
We're super smart.
We're 1 month into the season.
Yeah.
But these teams are really far back.
Yeah. Well,
so weren't the Cardinals, and they came back and made the playoffs.
But nobody talks about it because they're Red Sox.
Anyway, we'll wait till the last month and then change our predictions.
There we go. Yeah, we'll delete the first pod. Nobody will know. So we're going to move on to our forecast. What we're looking forward to this next month. Of course, last month we talked a lot about Madison Bumgarner, and that made us look like geniuses. So let's see if we can pull another rabbit out of our hat this week. So Corey, get it started.
Yeah. So
surprise. 2 minutes.
Okay. Surprise. I'm going to talk about the Cubs. I put them in the 5th spot on my power rankings. That has a lot to do again with their run differential. They lost a few games this past week. They actually improved their run differential over that time span. Yeah. They were plus 45 when we did the power rankings last week. They're plus 47 now. So it wasn't a lot, but they like again, it just shows that they're competitive even when they do lose. And it's the Pythagorean record and the base running record, the top 5 teams, both of those it had the same top 5 teams. Cubs are in the top 5 there. And there's more help on the way. And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to is Christopher Morel, who played for them a lot last year. He's currently hitting 363 in AAA, 11 homers, 23 games. He's got an OPS of 1.298. So he is the hottest hitter in AAA. Predominantly an infielder, has played some outfield. Where he plays, last year he played, let's see, as far as his baseball reference, center field, second base, third base, shortstop, DH, left field. So he's a guy that can play anywhere. It almost like everybody stayed healthy for the most part as far as position plays for the Cubs. And it's just like he's just like sitting there waiting for some sort of injury to happen because injuries happen. The other guy's Matt Mervis, who we've mentioned a little bit here and there. He's not off to as hot of a start as Christopher Morel, but he's hitting 296, OPS 987, got 6 homers again, same 23 games. He's almost got more of a defined spot because they signed Hosmer to basically the veteran minimum because he's getting paid by either the Red Sox or the Padres or whoever's actually paying him these days. But it's just kind of like the understanding. I think even with Hosmer, it's like as soon as Hosmer starts scuffling, like Mervis is coming up and taking a spot. But I can't wait for Morel. Morel was a fun guy to watch last year, and he's just tearing it up at AAA. I want to see him come up. And then going to go to the south side of Chicago and talk a little bit briefly about the White Sox and their horrendous start to this season. 2 of these guys picked them to win the Central. One of them was not me. I believe I said something about how if you have the same team and you were bad last year, you're probably going to be bad this year. But they've basically been without Tim Anderson the whole year, and it's I kind of look at Tim Anderson similar to how I look at Bryce Harper with the Phillies. Like there's a guy that can come into the team and basically just turn that locker room around, turn their whole kind of psyche around, and pump them up to. He's basically the heart and soul of that team.
Me and Tim Anderson are very similar in that aspect. So
you're my soul.
I love Tim Anderson. Like he gets under the skin of some people. I know him and Josh Donaldson have had some spats, but everybody it seems like has some spats with Josh Donaldson. But I'm looking forward to this month if Tim Anderson can stay healthy and just kind of seeing again because the discussion we had with the White Sox is like the guys are there. They just got to figure it out, and having Tim Anderson back, I'm interested to see how they perform this month.
There's rumors of I think La Russa possibly coming back to manage.
Yeah, just and maybe he'll go back to the Cardinals, and Ollie Marmol will come over to the White Sox.
Yeah, maybe he'll manage both.
Maybe. But the White Sox have to be better than they've shown. Lance Lynn's had a bad start. So I want to see them turned around. Liam Hendricks is actually starting his rehab assignment.
That's a good story there.
Yes, yeah. So awesome for Liam.
I keep debating whether or not to pick him up on the fantasy league yet. I know somebody's going to go in there and snipe him, but maybe he's got to prove he can.
Got him.
But
still throw.
And then they made 11 roster moves today, so that's. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that where your team is like they have recognized that their team.
My OOTP Mets, baby.
Yeah,
that's where you're seeing that.
But one of those was activating Anderson
and Alberto.
And and Alberto, and I think Joe Kelly went on paternity leave. So like some of them were kind of minor transactions, but still just seeing a team making 11 roster moves, like they realized that they need to do something. So I look forward to seeing how that pans out for him. And I think Aaron is going to play devil's advocate here and be.
I'm going to play your favorite GM.
Corey, right on the dot. 2 minutes. Good job. Go ahead, Aaron.
I've been updating our guest list, guys. So here's a quick look at it.
Okay.
Can you see it? Barry Wright's gone. Ronald Acuna gone. Corey's mom's still an option. Garrett Cole's gone. Matt Kaminsky, shout out to the Braves organist once again, 2 weeks in a row.
That's number one.
And Josh
number one
Donaldson. Sorry, we just had to
How
take
did
him.
Ronald Acuna get his name crossed off?
I think Garrett Cole's on there too.
You guys are mouthing Acuna.
I might have
Well, not
wished
you.
that he blew his knee.
Yeah.
out. I didn't
No,
wish
I
that,
not.
but I mentioned it.
Corey wanted him to die. So
Whoa.
Okay. Jeez.
I would
So
cross the
that-
name off too.
that
I would.
Trey
I
Turner
would
had a chance.
never. I would never. Wow.
Ronald, you come on and we won't let Corey on. That's fine. Yeah, so I was just looking at the White Sox as we recapped last month. I had them winning the Central. I thought, like Corey, I was the opposite. Corey said it's the same team, so how are they going to be better? And I thought they underperformed last year, so they should just be naturally better with different leadership. It did not or has not worked out yet. Like you said, Tim Anderson is coming back, and I agree with that take. He's the heart and soul, and I think Liam Hendricks is the heart and soul of the pitching staff, and both of them have been gone, but it may be too late already for them. So I was asking the question, is it too early to sell? Just looking at this roster, looking at their contract situation, if they wanted to jump the gun on the market and start setting prices now and start moving these pieces, they've got a lot of talent that I think they could make bank off of. Just looking at free agents after this year, Yasmani Grandal, he's a little bit old, but he's having kind of a bounce back year this year, driving the ball again. Last year, he didn't have hardly any power, but catcher's a thin position. We've talked about that. He's always had a good reputation with the staff, and he can actually hit a little bit. So at switch hitter, can play some first base as well. I could see them keeping him if they start calling up some young pitchers, though, but he's available. And then all kinds of pitchers, Ronaldo Lopez, Alex Colomé in the pen, both been proven back end guys. Lucas Giolito, he's got a 4.15 career ERA. He's at 4.32 this year, so he's right at his career norms. And he's a free agent. And then just look at the team options. These guys have team options for next year. Lance Lynn, as you mentioned, and his stats are insane. The last 4 years, he's had a sub-4 ERA, and this year he's sitting at 7.16. And the big thing's his control, and he's talked a little about this today or yesterday in a little interview. So last year, 121 and 2/3 innings, he only had 19 walks. This year, he's already got 15 walks and 32 and 2/3. So he's almost got as many walks as he had all last year. So somebody out there has got to think they can fix that on a contender. Liam Hendricks will be a team option. Tim Anderson's got a team option. I mean, come on. If you can move him, you get all kinds of stuff. Somebody could take him and exercise his option. And with Tim Anderson, their number one prospect, which I don't know much about, his name's Colson Montgomery. He's a shortstop in Double-A. And his ETA's next year, and his comp on MLB.com, they talk about how scouts see him as the next Corey Seager. He's a left-handed 6'4" shortstop. And so if that's your top prospect and he's ready next year, why not cash in Tim Anderson right now while your team's so far behind? And they have another shortstop in Double-A, their number 6 prospect, Jose Rodriguez, who had 11 homers, 68 RBIs, and a 770 OPS in Double-A last year. So they got two guys that'll be ready at shortstop very quickly to move Tim Anderson. Plus, you got Kelly, Diekman, Clevenger. And then Yohan Moncada is only signed through 2025, and Jake Berger has been out hitting him. So Moncada's hot right now. He's only played 9 games, but, why not jump on and move him too? So there's a lot of possibilities there because they've got talent. It's weird that it's not working. A lot of it seems like Robert and Eloy aren't the studs everybody thought they were going to be. So why not move the pieces that are working right now to cash in and retool? Because 9 of their 15 top prospects are expected up by this year or next year. Those 2 shortstops being them. They have 4 starters that are supposed to be ready at some point next year. None of the arms were elite. They're back end, long relief type arms. So if you move some of those guys, you want to try to get an elite pitching prospect back. But I think you could. For
how long are
Anderson
you
or
giving
Moncada.
it? How long are you giving it till sell date?
I mean, it seems like everybody waits the deadline. I don't know why. Like, you're telling me right now, if you offer Tim Anderson to the Dodgers, they're back on top and they're playing Mookie at shortstop, that they won't give you one of those stud catchers that they have that are going to be blocked. You know, they got Diego Cartaya. They've got extra outfielders. That Michael Bush kid, Vargas. I mean, they've got.
They
You
got
telling me you
pitchers
couldn't?
too.
Yeah, you couldn't grab a pitcher and one of those catchers for Tim Anderson right now, and the Dodgers would be all over that. You know, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't wait. I would see if Tim Anderson's presence jump starts you, and at the end of the May, if you're still as far back, start selling now and get ahead of the market because they've got some awesome pieces that could bring King's ransom.
And kind of the reason I ask is it's probably the weakest division in baseball. I mean, we would probably agree on that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, 9-21. I mean, if you can go on a decent run here in May, you know, you could be a couple games back before too long. And I don't think any of these other teams are going to turn out to, you know, get a bunch of players back off the IL or turn into a powerhouse. You could still have a chance if you.
I think the Twins are
start
showing
now
themselves
winning,
to be legit contenders. Yeah,
They're
but
playing well.
if it's close to 10 games by the end of May, that you're behind the Twins.
Mm-hmm.
Because with these prospects, so many prospects in the upper minors, if they can flip these guys, these position players for some pitchers, and then call up those prospects that are infielders, they could really. The number 3 guy's a third baseman himself that's due up next year. And he had 22 and 86 in Double-A. So they got 3 stud infielders sitting at Double-A that'll be ready next year. So move Moncada, move Anderson, play Burger, and just run with it.
Jared, how do you feel about the White Sox potentially moving Tim Anderson?
Would love
Cardinals
to see
need a shortstop.
Cardinal red, but I don't think the Cardinals will make any moves to make them a better ball club.
Yeah, I really don't think, Aaron, you're in my take are that different. Because I think it is like if nothing changes by the end of May, I think I'm on board with you. The White Sox.
Give Tim Anderson a month and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, like the White Sox it's such a weird team. Like the front office is like one of the longest tenured front offices, if not the longest tenured front offices in Major League Baseball. And like they're like no other front office would have dealt with the performance that this team has done for the past 20 years because they won like early 2000s. I forget the exact year. But like it's still Kenny Williams, Jerry Reinsdorf. Like I saw a tweet that like no one has cashed in more than Jerry Reinsdorf for drafting Michael Jordan like in 1980 whatever. Sorry, but don't know the exact year Michael Jordan got drafted, but it's just like
84, I think.
But and Rick Hahn, like these guys have just been around for so long. The teams have been so bad, it just doesn't make any sense that they're still there. But we've talked about them.
They're super loyal, but it ends up being slow.
Yeah.
And it costs them. So,
Joe, what do you got for us?
Yeah, jumping over to my forecast, I think it will be significantly shorter than what we discussed there. That was a good conversation. I'm not ragging on you. One thing I meant to bring up earlier, especially during the NL MVP discussion, was Luis. Somebody help me say his last name. Somebody help me say his first name. Luis Arraez.
Who?
What's his first name?
Luis Arraez.
Oh,
Arraez.
Yeah.
Arraez. What's he batting, like 430 or something insane?
Yeah.
We're a month into the season, you know. I don't think anybody thinks he's going to bat 400, but
his
that'd be interesting.
K rate
to
is
see.
under 5%. That's insane.
That's like Tony Gwynn numbers. It'll be interesting to see what Tampa Bay continues to be able to do. I mean, they're just wiping the floor with the whole league, with wins, with run differential. They're not really running away with the division yet, but anyway, that'll be. Yeah, Baltimore is keeping up. Adley's he's caught every single game too. I think that's something else to say. I know he's got young knees, but you know, you don't see catchers playing every day, or if maybe they DH a day, and maybe he's done that. But when I looked, he was the only catcher that had played every day. Corey?
Let's take
Back
a
to
look.
you,
Okay.
Joe.
Let me pull up
All
this.
right.
I actually have his
Thanks,
stats
Corey.
up. No.
Five,
Let's see.
4,
He has DH
3.
games. So he has not caught every game, but he has played every game.
But he's played every game.
Yes.
Okay. Next topic. Continuing to hope that we don't have to talk about rule changes. Mostly, the clock stuff. Pitch clock, batter clock, um, 3 o'clock rock. Um, all all the clocks. I don't want to talk about any of them. I'm like Captain Hook. Just keep alligators and clocks away from me. But we haven't talked a lot about that, and that's good. I'm sure MLB was like, I hope we can slide these rule changes in, and they go off without a hitch. And we're still seeing violations, but we haven't seen that bottom of the ninth, other than in spring training. The bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, full count, the most least climactic end of a game of all time, right? Pitch clock violation walk. So I hope that keeps going well. It'll be interesting to see. And I'll throw this over to Corey real quick to give us the stats on it. What has viewership been so far for the MLB this season?
You know what would be great is if you put these questions that you had in the agenda so I could look them up beforehand. But I have no idea.
That'll be
The A's has probably been bad. I can tell you that.
that's very true. Spoiler alert: you might see some pictures of some boys in Oakland. Maybe we'll discuss that in a pod to come. As far as has viewership or anything increased. Aaron, did you have something you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, I was going to give Joe the definition of an agenda: a list of items to be discussed at a formal meeting. Back to you.
Thank you. As far as forecasts, the last thing I had was I do have an appointment coming up with the doctor. I'm looking forward to increasing my anxiety and depression medication from the season. So I don't know if that'll help because the Cardinals lost again tonight. They're now 10-20. And then a little bit of a forecast, which I'm sure that's been used at some point in the past.
It's called a recap.
But
Trademark.
Jay Lee.
I'll just count how many points you've had so far, but go ahead. I think we're on 7.
You're still taking half the time that these guys talked about upper side and south side.
Upper
Anyway.
side.
What I said.
No, it's not what anybody calls it.
That's what it's called.
North side.
Strong side. Anyway,
That's the left side.
Yeah.
about a forecast, something that's happened before today. You guys may have heard me saying some interesting things throughout the podcast. It's like about some chickens, some pigs, some ham sandwiches. Well, play the organ on slow mode and pull out the bagpipes because we did have a passing this past week. Mike Shannon, longtime announcer for the Cardinals. He also played for the Cardinals. Give a quick shout out to him. So he played 9 seasons with the Cards. He won a couple World Series there. He called their games for 50 years. I know I listened to him my whole life. I'm guessing when y'all tuned in, you did too, Jay Lee. And I thought he was a good broadcaster. Maybe by the 7th or 8th inning, he was a little more animated, had that cackle of a laugh, had the homer call of the get up, baby, get up. So thanks, Mike, for all the years you did that, and rest in peace.
Just a cool voice too.
Yeah. All right, I'll throw it over to Jay Lee to wrap us up.
Well,
on the forecasts.
What I was going to talk about on the forecast, Joe doesn't want to talk about anymore, so I think we might just need to cancel my segment.
I just now looked at the agenda and saw what you wrote.
That's embarrassing. No, I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. I just don't really have a forecast. I like getting the feedback on all these rules, and we finally got some players who made some comments about the rules, and how they feel about them. And I'm not going to read all of them. I'm just going to read the ones that stick out to me. So there's one that's, what's your favorite thing about the new rules so far? Blake Snell from the Padres. None that I can think of was his quote. So he's excited about that. Ian Happ likes not having the shift, being able to get some ground balls. He hits this huge, rewarding guys for hard hit balls. Let's see. Elvis Andrews, the bigger bases, a lot easier to everything, stealing, making double plays, blah, blah, blah. There's another question here. What's one thing about the rule changes you think needs improvement? Let's go back to Snell because his was great. I think this Joe might have actually commented on this one as well. Snell, stolen bases. It's a joke. Can't throw no one out. You have to be 1.2, 1.3 seconds to the plate. If you pick twice, they're getting crazy jumps and leads. Stolen bases are a joke. And the bases are closer.
I like Mr. Snell.
The game was made perfectly, and they changed the game. I need to be better at pressing buttons on the PitchCom device. Sometimes you're thinking about how to attack a hitter, and you hit the buttons. I'd like to be able to say I'm pressing the wrong buttons. More time would help. So he's pretty animated about it. The big consensus on like what they think needs to change is there's a lot of about the amount of time the pitchers are getting. Seems like a lot of players are on the same boat as that. Like they feel like they need more. And then there's a lot of multiple comments about the pitcher being able to call a timeout, like the hitter. So we might see that eventually come into play. Let's see if I can't find another quote from Snell because it has been.
Yeah, Blake was the best in that.
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up.
While you're looking, I got something I saw with that pitcher calling timeout. I didn't realize this until today because it happened to Kirby Yates. Full count, trying to figure out pitch. Didn't want to walk the guy in the 8th inning. He stepped off and then stepped back on, thinking that would restart the clock, and it didn't. So he got called for ball 4. And then he's like, "What? I disengaged."
You can't disengage with nobody on base, right?
Yeah. It doesn't reset the clock. You can, but it doesn't reset the clock.
Yeah.
And then one of the last questions is, what do you hear most when talking to players' teammates about the rule changes? And they're all on the same boat of kind of just feeling like everybody's rushed. So I think if they somehow add a few more seconds back to the pitch clock, I think that probably ease everybody's minds. But I just thought that was interesting because we talked about the rule changes, but finally hear some players talk about it. It's kind of interesting, their thoughts and what they like and what they don't like. And I think it's pretty consensus on everybody likes the shift being gone, but they also want more time for the pitch clock. So
no, I think I read that same article and I really thought it was insightful, just like you did. So I'm glad that we're getting some feedback. Share a lot of the opinions you do. And I thought Blake Snell was hilarious because it just seems like he hates everything about every rule. But anyway.
The ESPN writers have been doing some research as far as the injuries too, because the first month pitcher injuries are way up, and there's a big school of thought that that's because they don't have time to recoup between each pitch.
Yeah, which I believe we talked about.
Yeah, so if that's a league-wide concern, I could see that being the biggest factor in adding time is players' health because they love the pace of play that's going on.
Yeah.
Especially with the players that are throwing, like more players more not are throwing 95 plus. That puts so much on your arm.
There was a funny, speaking of pace of play, there was a funny little quote from Mark Canna where he was talking about how last year his parking garage in his building closed at midnight, so he'd get his wife and his kids in the car and be like racing home to try and get back to the parking garage before they had to like park on the street or something like that. And it's just like, that seems like crazy that's like, it's like you're sitting, you're maybe in like left field or something, and it's the bottom of the ninth. You're like, all right, let's go. I gotta get parked. But
Kevin Cash, this one's just plain and simple too, talking about on the things that they would eliminate, and he goes, "I'd eliminate the limit on throwovers. I think that's stupid."
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool.
No, so it's cool to see kind of the players and managers being so candid. But
Corey,
yeah. What do you want?
Could you pull us something on like what in the past? Let's just the past 15 years of data.
Sure. 15 years. Uh-huh.
Like how many times has somebody thrown over more than twice? Like I'm just wondering how much time they're saving by limiting it to 2 times. I can't I know it happens, but I can't remember a game where it's like, wow, this pitcher has thrown over on every runner 6 times. And maybe it has, but I'm just asking you for the stats. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I mean, I think it's the disengagement too. Like it's the timeouts and the catcher conversations. I know they limited mound visits before, but I mean, there was a
Mhm.
lot of time where the pitcher just could kind of take however much time he needed, and I mean, even players got annoyed with that too. Like they wanted them to. I mean, pitchers got annoyed with hitters taking too long. I think hitters sometimes got annoyed with pitchers taking too long. So it's nice to kind of put everybody on an even playing field, I think. But um, as far as other things to look forward to, that would be our weekend predictions. Which Joe, would you like to just give a guess for what you had last week? What your
You probably don't
record was?
even know.
Just
I
give me a number. Give me a record. Three numbers. Add up to five total.
three
You
I
go
have to,
5 and
three
0.
numbers?
Yeah, the last one's
Win,
probably
loss,
zero.
ties.
Yeah. So
Oh, 1, 4, and 1.
that's six. So you were actually
I
uh
mean, there's no better time than to point out the sign that's still back
yeah.
there.
Well, you had our first 5-0 week.
Yeah, you
Dude,
did.
Oh,
nice.
wow.
Keeper.
I'm
That's
back,
Still in
boys.
last place though, right?
No, I am in last place now
Yeah, Corey
for
did
the
not do so
season.
well.
So Joe went 5-0. Jared and Aaron went 3-2, and I went 2-3. That brings the season totals to Joe on top at
Boom,
11,
boom,
8,
boom.
and 1. Jared and Aaron at 10, 9, and 1, and myself at 9, 10, and 1.
Under
What was your
500.
record, Corey?
2 and 3.
Oh, you had the
Rangers
Brewers
and
too.
Brewers, correct.
Oh, okay. Darn. I thought you were 1-4.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So we are going
Going
to
last.
dive into this weekend's series, starting it off with the Blue Jays at Pirates. Again, I'm going to take an Aaron approach to this because last week I really dove into trying to figure out what the correct picks would be, and I did not have much luck.
Yeah, you don't think too much. You just got to pick the team and go.
Hey, that's what I'm doing. I'm
Yeah,
taking
snappy, snappy.
the Blue Jays because I think the Pirates aren't that good, and they're playing the Rays. They're playing the Blue Jays. I think they're playing some teams that are tough. So Blue Jays. Jared.
I think the Pirates are good, but I am picking the Blue Jays.
Joseph, keep it going.
The Pirates are definitely not good, and the Blue Jays are playing pretty hot. So Blue Jays.
I picked the Jays as well because I'm the only guy that has not voted for the Pirates yet. I have
I
never
thought it was
thought
going to
they
be
were gonna be
hilarious if everybody who voted for the Pirates didn't pick them, and then you picked the
there. Nope.
Pirates.
And I also gave credit to Joe's PowerPoint again in my notes.
Sure.
Looks good. Sounds good.
Next series is the White Sox at Reds, which is not necessarily that interesting of a series, but I thought with the discussions that we had, it would be a fun one to kind of go through. I'm taking the Reds. I did look a little bit into this. They got Green and Lodolo going over the weekend. Again, it'll be interesting to see what Tim Anderson does to this White Sox team, but I think against that pitching matchup, I'm taking the Reds.
For all the crap we talked, I'm picking the White Sox.
All right.
Man, what a matchup we have here. I was interested in the pitching, who was pitching as well. Thanks for looking that up
Green
for me, Corey.
Liddell and Luke Weaver.
And then Lance Lynn is Friday for the White Sox.
Lynn Giolito and it's not bad matchups really. It's
No,
somebody
it's
else.
not. I mean, and we got to talk about teams that, like, if we just pick the same teams that are always.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I mean, I'm looking at this Reds lineup, and I've never even heard of any of these players. So I'm gonna go White Sox. Sorry, the sock of a color variety.
Sure.
I would go with the Reds. I do think they have the advantage in the rotation slightly, and I enjoyed watching them play against the Braves. All three games, I think, were one-run games, and it's in Cincy, So the Tim Anderson effect's not going to kick in until he gets back home.
Okay. Next one is the Red Sox at Phillies, which, as far as I can tell, the probables are not really available. I'm sure you could figure it out, but I picked the Phillies to win the East. Bryce Harper's back. Phillies are winning the series.
I will take the Bryce Harpers.
All right.
I don't just want to pick what you all are picking. But I mean the Red Sox are playing better than they should. Phillies.
Oh man. I'm going Phillies as well, so we're all tied so far. Harper, it'll be his first series at home.
Yeah.
Because they're on the road right now.
Well, Joe's just piggybacking off of us. You should have wrote these down first and circled them.
I got them tight.
Wow, you wasted ink on that?
I did.
Got a lot of money over there.
Church.
Twins at Guardians is the next one we're looking at. This is 1 and 2 in the AL Central, weak division, but I think this will be a good matchup and be a good indicator of maybe, again, it's the beginning of May, but good indicator of which team is actually better. Again, I picked the Guardians to win the Central, and the Twins have shown up for sure, but I want the Guardians to win the Central, so I want the Guardians to win the series.
Guardians.
All right.
I'm gonna go Twins.
I went Twins as well. Got Ober, Gray, and Lopez. So Gray and Lopez going in a 3-game series. Advantage.
I agree.
Yep. Next one, also a battle of division foes. Rangers at Angels. Again, Rangers are hot right now. I put them in my top 5, but I want the Angels to win baseball games so bad. So I am taking the Angels to win this series. I think that'll pogo stick them into excellence. Angels, okay.
Yeah, and I got him to one up that and put this halo above my head. Come on, Cooney. Keep going, Jay Lee.
Excel's asking me to autofill because
I
it's so
picked the
similar.
Rangers.
Oh.
And
the Rangers are the
Wow.
Pittsburgh Pirates of the AL.
My reason is Corey's strategy. Either the Rangers win, I'm happy, or the Angels win.
There you go. That's what
Corey's strategy.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. I listened to that episode and I was like, that's good. Good call by me. So we all got Blue Jays over the Pirates, split White Sox Reds, all got Phillies over the Red Sox, split Guardians Twins, and 3-1 Angels over Rangers with Cooney the odd man out there. So we again, it's still a very tight race. 2 games between, or two games, I guess. 2 points between first and last. So we will hopefully I'll close some ground there, but let's lock those predictions in.
All right, with that being said, that's going to wrap up another episode of Rake Your Position. Thank you again for joining us. You can catch us midweek episodes, our game times. We finished up April with our roster game, which I believe Corey stormed back on the last episode to catch me. But we won't spoil who got last. But this week we're going to start a new game called our War Game. And so you can check us out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you get notified when that game drops later on this week. And find us on Twitter at Rake Your Position. But until next time, don't forget to
Rake
your position.